Welcome to the last episode of 2023. Jess and I are super excited and looking forward to everything we have going on in 2024. But first, we're going to kind of go back and recap what we went through this year and people we interviewed, some of our favorites.
And when we talk about the recap for the year, so just recap in case this might be the first time you're listening to Dr. Bobbie and I. So I'm Dr. Jess, owner and founder of Core Essentials Physical Therapy and Wellness in Jacksonville Beach, Florida. And I have a passion for just supporting others in living a more healthier and wellness-based lifestyle, one small step at a time, not this big leap. And we've got Dr. Bobbie, the other co-host.
And I am owner and founder of Level Up Osteopractic. And just like Jess, love looking at how can we improve our health? Health meaning more than just something physical, looking at all aspects, nutrition, mental, spiritual, recreational, those types of things, and changing things one small step at a time.
Absolutely. And so over the past year, this was our second season that we're essentially finishing up, and it's been really very, very fun. So we started this year in January with goal setting. And so we were able to cover some bigger topics as far as like exercise and nutrition. We had a really fun interview with Dr. Kaylee Scott and going through some health and exercise goals. And it's been very fun with each of these people that we interview to learn from them. And, in this episode, we're going to be playing some clips of some of the episodes that we were able to kind of get done this year. And you look back and you're like, wow, I felt like when you just like chunk it out like we do, it doesn't feel like all that much. But then you realize like in the course of a year, we really did get a lot done and a lot of interviews, and being able to get a weekly episode out has been kind of incredible if you think about it. Yeah. We both run clinics as well. So this is not like our full-time gig by any means. Yeah.
I'm talking to a patient in general. Like my first goal for myself as a doctor is to meet somebody where they're at. So that's whether like their level of investment, their effort, the cost of different treatments as well. But a big thing about when I'm working with somebody is they have to be ready to make a change. So when I'm kind of evaluating, my job is to educate people, motivate them, empower them, but like they have to be the one to really do the change. And I think just the way that I practice and naturopathic doctors practice, we have these different principles that we kind of work off of, but doctor as teacher is one of them. And so doctor is derived from the Latin word docere, which means to teach. So doctors should be teaching their patients about their bodies and about what's going on, and they eat these foods or take these supplements and like why they're doing that. So I think a big part of like achieving the goals is not like, oh, I read about this diet on the internet and I'm just going to do this for a month and then like fall off the wagon of that, because it's not like a truly like I understand the why part. And I think that what I try to do with patients is to help them understand that part, to like so that they know why this is helping their bodies and everything. So I think that like the knowledge and understanding of the why for a patient is really important to get like more of a commitment in that way.
So January was goals, and then we moved into February, which was exercise and talking about all the guidelines. And just like, what was one of your favorite memories from February?
Well, we did an interview with one of our former classmates with Lila, Dr. Lila. And she, has 2 kiddos and then, was pregnant with her third. And so really kind of her experience of like being a runner and getting back into fitness and then going through another pregnancy. It's like just that like roller coaster of trying to recover from a pregnancy and then go through another pregnancy and then recover from a pregnancy and then go through another pregnancy. I think she was very, just open with like, it's hard. It's really tough to not feel like you can just set this goal and go for it, but you've got to like, let your body do what it needs to do and completely pivot. So that was, I think it was, I resonated with that episode a lot.
So, so Lila, when did you first get interested in running?
I've been running since high school. So I did track cross country, ran, just kind of on my own 5K races through college, through PT school. I did a few afterwards, but then I took like almost a 6-7 year break from I had my first child. Life just kind of happened. And where we were living, it wasn't really convenient to go run. We didn't have family nearby. So finding babysitters and, having to take the time to drive somewhere, whether it's to a park or a track or something, that kind of just dampened it. After I had my second, Samson, I had him in 2020. And after I had him, I decided I was going to get back into running. So I actually, 2020, all these virtual races popped up, and I signed up for one, and it was like a 26-mile. You didn't have to do it all at one time. You just, added up the miles, and then you get your little medal. So I did that, completed it, and then I was completely burned out. So it was another 4 months before I actually put my shoes on again and started running.
Yeah. I would say you love running, so.
Exactly. Yeah. When you're pregnant, you can run for a period of time and then you can't. And so trying to find something else, especially like, when you're going after you've recovered from pregnancy, you get back into running and then you have to stop again, it's like,
man, there's a lot about after being pregnant and recovery that they don't tell you about. I remember, I just remember so many times, even to this day, I'm like, wait a second. I always heard people talk about that, but I never understand it. Now I do.
Right. Yeah. It's tough. It really is. So it's tough mentally, it's tough physically, and it's beautiful all at the same time because you've got this child or, multiple children that you've added to your family. And so it's, it's just this big box of mixed emotions, really. So kind of tying in that with fitness and what that looks like and how fitness can look like a lot of different things depending on where you are in life. It doesn't have to look just like one thing. And that's key, like really key. So moving into March, we got more into nutrition. And so we had each episode was in that realm of nutrition. So Dr. Bobbie, was there one in March that was kind of more of your favorite?
I love Western Med and I really appreciate it because I do think there are times where it is really important. But at the same time, I love talking to Dr. Kristen Holland and learning from a functional med side and a holistic side of how could we use food and nutrition to kind of improve our overall health and well-being. And I think that stuck out to me a lot, is really leaning on that a little bit more for preventative measures.
So Dr. Helen, tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, well, good morning, everyone, and thank you for having me. I am a functional medicine physician, and I'm based out of Chicago. It's definitely winter here, so we don't have as much of a struggle as you do. And I also will explain what functional medicine means a little bit in case people aren't used to that term yet. But I'm a functional medicine physician, and I practice with a integrative group based out of Chicago and the suburbs. And so in the integrative group, I'm working with a lot of different healthcare providers on a huge spectrum, ranging from conservative prescribers all the way up through alternative medicine, energy work, traditional Chinese medicine. And I see myself as somewhat in the middle.
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome.
So then April, we kind of went into stress awareness and talking about different methods. I love talking in episode 16 to Jackie, and we're talking about kids and how do we help them. But how about you, Dr. Jess? What are some memorable moments from that month for you?
I think talking with Brittany, she was one of my former she worked at the clinic with me, and then she went to PT school and then is now out and practicing.
How has
And
your stress changed from when you were like a student to entering into working in the professional field? Like, what was the difference there?
I think when you're a student, it feels bigger. This type of stress that you're under, it's very data driven. Like you're always trying to not flunk out of school or always trying to pursue this next goal. Or if you're going for residency, get into this program. It's very objective driven. So it feels bigger because it feels like there's a lot to lose. But then when you transition out of it and you become a clinician or even just entering the professional world, you have other people whose livelihoods you're responsible for. So then there's this stress of, I need to make sure these people are better while maintaining my own healthy lifestyle, while maintaining my own personal relationships, making sure, I'm dealing with finances and tax season and buying a car when all my engine lights are on, and, all the things that are actually bigger. So you're dealing with bigger things, but somehow it feels smaller than it did when you were a student.
that's life.
Mhm.
So, and then, getting into May, this was more on the mental health awareness side. And so Dr. Bobbie, was there like anyone that kind of stood out in May that was, fun, where you learned a good bit?
Yeah, I liked episode 20 with Jada. And we talked about substance abuse and how substance abuse isn't just drugs and alcohol. Substance abuse can be exercise, it can be shopping, it can be gambling, it can be a lot of different things. So I just thought she had a lot of great tidbits on how to not only look within yourself and like recheck yourself on what you're doing, but also then how do you help others and help those that you love.
So Jada, tell us a little bit about you before we get started. So just so everybody kind of knows your really cool backgrounds, lots of training.
Yeah, so I'm a licensed mental health counselor and I own 2 practices. My Just Keep Swimming counseling practice is something that's just my single practice I do. And then my group practice is Keep Evolving Beyond Therapy. So with that, we work with anyone from individual counseling to couples to DBT skills groups is something we offer. And then we also have an IOP, an intensive outpatient program now for substance abuse, which is something I'm going to be talking about today. So we work with all populations, trauma, personality disorders, addiction, any of those struggles. We kind of try to cover and cover all the bases, really.
Yes. So, and moving to June, June we did sleep. I love sleep. And I love the information you gave when we talked about ergonomics and then just the sleep routine and bed hygiene and like how can we make our area better for sleep. But how about you?
Yeah, I think we did another one where we talked about sleep with children, right? And I think that was where we interviewed Dr. Leffler, and
Yes.
that one was helpful of like, because we think of like sleep training with kids, and there's like the cry it out method and all these different methods, but like really taking a step back and understanding what's the importance of sleep, especially with kiddos that are developing, like neurodevelopment and everything that needs to happen. And it's not just something that's important for adults to be able to recover, it's important for kids when they're developing as well. So really taking a step back and looking at sleep from a big picture perspective, it is a huge topic, really. And so being able to break it down into some subtopics doesn't do it nearly the justice that it deserves. I mean, we could probably have a whole podcast just on sleep. And
Right.
but I do love that we spend a whole month just talking about it.
Gotcha. So yes, I'm Dr. Lauren Heyer. I am Dr. Jess and I go way back to our college years, where we worked on our senior research project together. So we've known each other a good many years. But currently I am a pediatric orthopedic surgeon with Shriners Children's in Greenville, South Carolina, and do mostly lower extremity work. Yeah, so that is my background. I'm also the mom to 2 vibrant boys that are 3 and 5 years old. So my day job gets over only for my nighttime mom job to begin. So life is full.
Got it.
Yes.
Yeah. And then we move into July, which is our kind of products, toxin-free living, where we really discuss a bit about ways that we can, and the why behind implementing toxin-free products into our lives. So is there one in that month that stood out to you?
I think we have, yes, I think we have to talk about Sue Bread Becker and how looking at milling your own grain and flour and just like the effects that the good benefits that she found through doing that.
Yeah. I mean, I resonated with that one so much that I actually like bought a mill for my KitchenAid mixer so I can mill my own grain, and bought a bread maker. It's like I had no idea the health benefits of freshly milled grain until we interviewed her, and it kind of blew my mind. And it's really not hard, honestly. So I mean, I don't make a fancy bread by any means. Like, I just put the stuff in and out comes the flour, and I just put the ingredients into the bread maker and press go. It's really not more complicated than that.
All right. Well, I'm a mother, I'm a wife, a mother, and a grandmother. I live in Cherokee County, Georgia. And a little bit about my background. I graduated from the University of Georgia. Go Dogs. Sorry, got to put that in there. I graduated with a degree in food science. I went as a pre-med student because I loved physiology and biochemistry, but I realized I didn't want that much of a grueling profession, and I didn't want to be in school that long, even though I love studying. But I graduated with a degree in food science, but had a strong background, of course, in physiology and biochemistry. I loved studying the human body. After graduating, I met my husband at the University of Georgia, but after graduating, I did work at Kraft Foods for almost 5 years as a microbiologist there. But even after graduating, I often laugh and say I was a better student. I am a better student since I'm not in school than when I was in school. I just loved studying, and I continued to study and read the works of a popular biochemist of the 70s and 80s, Adele Davis. And I didn't sell back my biochemistry and physiology books, and I just kept reading and studying, and I believed in eating real food.
Yes, August, because August is leadership.
Yes.
Such an important topic. How about leadership for you? Anyone in there?
So I enjoyed speaking with Jenny. She works at a local bank here. She's the vice president, and really just kind of how she's grown in her leadership over the years, and just kind of what she's done to improve her leadership, and then how she's recognized that with her team's performance, and what works, what doesn't work, how she's had to take a step back sometimes and check herself. And other times it's a matter of like, no, we do need to make a change. This might not be the best fit, as far as the employee goes.
So my name is Jenny. I tease saying I'm Jenny from the bank, but that way people remember it. But no, I am a mom of two, full-time mom of two little girls, 8 and 5. And I am a full-time wife, and I'll just say second time around, and it's great. And then I am also a full-time banker, is what I say. I've been doing banking for 16 years. And that's my full-time job, vice president, branch manager, and business banker. So really everything that bank asks, and people I get to help, that's what I do. Short version of a little bit about
and so then we get into pain awareness in September, which as physical therapists, that's kind of what we do. So is there anything in that month that stood out, Dr. Bobbie?
So I love when we talk about dry needling and just the benefits of it, but along with Scott May and his story on how everyone kind of just told him to live with the pain, and how he was able to find a way to move beyond that.
Yeah, and Scott has now turned into my running partner. So he was able to get back into running, and it's been really great to be able to have somebody that is able to train with, make goals together, things like that. So right now we're training for the half marathon that's coming up in maybe about 5 or 6 weeks, and then there's a 10K after that will run. So it's been very fun to kind of see that journey.
So hot right now.
So Scott, obviously the month of pain, you were somebody that I thought of that would be great to talk to because of the experiences that you've had. And so before we kind of get into those experiences, first, just tell us a little bit about you. Like, who are you?
Well, obviously I'm Scott, husband, father, adventure sports junkie. As my son was growing up, we did a lot of mountain biking, rock climbing, whitewater kayaking. I got into bicycle racing and mountain bike racing. And as soon as I moved to Florida, I had, one goal, which was to learn to surf, and spent the last 4 years diving into that world. And I'm now at the point that if I could only do one sport, that would be the one for me. Everything's got to support that.
All right. And then October, Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So that we had some hefty interviews in that one for sure. Yeah. So which one stood out to you, Dr. Bobbie?
I like Jerry Millard and just how she kind of overcame and dragon boating and all that, like just really fun how to turn something negative into a positive.
Yeah, her story is just, it's so stinking cool to be able to like go through breast cancer and a difficult recovery, big time. And then, to have that completely change essentially what she does professionally, opening up a small business to support other women that have are going through breast cancer. And then also on the side, doing an entire Dragon Boat team for the breast cancer division of the Dragon Boat world, and really using her experience to do good, for her community, which is really great. And then we also interviewed Dr. Buckley, who does functional medicine. She herself had breast cancer, and then that essentially kind of really is one of the guiding factors of getting her from Western med into functional med. And just her sharing that story, I think was really great.
I love it. So Dr. Buckley, do you mind telling us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So I am a classically trained pediatrician and discovered functional medicine about 20 years ago, and started pursuing that mostly because my daughter developed autism, and that was what drove me to learn first about functional medicine. And then a few years later, I developed breast cancer and applied all of that knowledge in functional medicine to my own breast cancer journey. But it's been a lot of fun. Functional medicine is a very, very different approach to the traditional medicine that I was trained in, and I had to unlearn a lot of things and learn a whole lot of new things. And it has been one of the most joyful journeys I've ever been on, and I love the way I get to practice medicine now. I find that it is just a lot more fun, and it's very, very rewarding because you change people's lives on a permanent basis if you're lucky.
So
I love that.
And then what was November, Bobbie?
November, we talked about just relationships, holidays, it's just you and me. So kind of November, December was us wrapping things up. November is relationships and how through the holidays and guests and visitors and all of that fun stuff.
Yeah. And just like being able to, have an appreciation for relationships that sometimes are imperfect, and that's okay.
Yes.
And, again, especially when we were preparing for holidays and being around individuals that we might not be around a lot during the year, just kind of how to enter that space with intention and hopefully maybe have a better overall interaction. Yeah. And, it just changes things, when you add intention to you entering the space. Yeah. And then December
was all goal setting, and we just kind of went through that and how to make goals, how to take those big life goals and break them down. And I think that's just really important information because a lot of times we have these big dreams, but we don't know how to make it happen. I know that's a big thing for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So we just break it down step by step each episode. We start with like having that big what do I even want, to breaking it down from long-term goals into short-term goals into very sustainable steps. And, you know, from there, it hopefully helps make it a little bit easier. And we are very much looking to 2024 to enter into our third season. We're going to be starting with goal setting, but with specific categories. So like fitness and nutrition, and, you know, some of these really specific categories of how do I actually think about this category with goal setting. So, and in the episode description, we'll have links to our reflections journal and some of our goal setting worksheets that we've put together, just to make it a little bit easier so that you feel supported in this journey that hopefully you're tagging alongside with us. So,
Well, we look forward to seeing you in 2024.
Absolutely.
Thank you for listening to the episode today. If you would like to learn more about how Two Gals can support you, then join our Two Gals Insiders membership, which can be found at www.2-gals.com. Also, don't forget, follow us on social media. We're on Facebook as well as Instagram. Okay, everybody. Bye. Enjoy your week.